What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to B&B's Backwoods Barbecue. Today we're doing some baby back ribs. We're going to start off by trimming up some of the ribs, getting some of the excess fat off, some of the excess meat. Don't want any burnt ends when we're done cooking. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to flip these ribs around. I'm going to start trimming that membrane. I like to take the membrane off. You don't have to. There's all different kinds of tips and tricks on how to do it. Easiest way is either to slice it with a knife or get under it with a spoon. Grab a paper towel and grab it and pull it off because that stuff's super slippy. Okay, so once your membrane's off, we're gonna flip the ribs over. We're going to use some honey mustard here as a binder. Some people use olive oil, some people use mustard, peanut oil, whatever you'd like to use. It's not here for flavor. We're just using it as a binder for the rub to stick nice and good. Okay, once we have our binder on, have a nice thin layer of mustard on both sides, we're going to take our base layer seasoning here. It's just equal parts mix of salt, pepper, onion powder, garlic powder. Just a simple base layer to really bring the flavor out of the ribs. Okay, once we have our base coat on, we're gonna take our rub. You can use whatever you like. I use the Weber KC Barbecue. It's got a nice color, really good, sweet, but yet salty taste to it. We're gonna put it on it pretty liberally. We're gonna do both sides. We want to get a nice bark on these ribs. Alright, on the back side, I just want to add real quick, make sure you hit those sides. You want a good even color and even coating all over these racks. Okay, after the rub's on, we're going to inject these ribs. It's really going to set them apart from your traditional rib. Helps hold in the moisture, keeps the ribs nice and tender. Our mixture here we're using is a mixture of apple cider vinegar, apple juice, and a little bit of whatever rub you're putting on the ribs. We want to take the syringe and put it in between each individual rib here and just give it a nice little squeeze. If it starts to squirt out, that's fine. Now the cooker I'm using here is a custom one I built myself. I'm just adding some charcoal to my fire. Just helps me keep the temperature pretty even and steady as I'm cooking while I adjust the dampers. And on top of that charcoal, I'm just adding a couple hickory hunks. You can use whatever wood you like. I like hickory on most of my smoking. Like I said, total preference. Alright, while we got the grill going, we let the ribs sit for a little while, maybe 15-20 minutes. Let that rub really soak in, let the meat sweat a little bit. A lot of people do ribs a couple different ways. You can do the 3-2-1 method or whatever you're comfortable with. I do it until the ribs end up kind of looking like this, have a decent little bark going on them, start getting a little crispy. You can do the rub test. The rub test, you can wipe it with your finger, and if the rub comes off, they're not ready. If it stays on there pretty heavy, then you're good. Alright, so what we're going to do next is take this rack of ribs, gonna wrap it up in some tin foil. Some Reynolds Wrap non-stick works really well. Some people call this the Texas cheat, but since we're on a grill here, we want these bad boys to turn out nice and tender. So take the ribs, center them right in the center of that tin foil there. We're going to take a stick of butter or two, and we're gonna cut it up into about 1-inch size pieces. And just place these hunks of butter all across the ribs. Once you got your butter placed, we're then going to take some honey. Honey just adds like a nice sweet taste to it. Nice caramelization on top. Doesn't matter what kind of honey, any kind of honey works. And just liberally put that on top of there. Once your honey's on, we're going to use the brown sugar. Just take a couple handfuls, crumble it all over top of those ribs. Get a nice good layer on there. This will add a nice sweet flavor to it on top of caramelizing also, making a nice bark. You can also sprinkle a little bit of rub right back on top of that, keep the flavor even. Once all that's done, we're going to wrap these bad boys up. So we're going to let those ribs cook. I've found 2 to 2.5 hours works best for me. I like to bring the grill up to about 275 to 300 for that 2 to 2.5 hours. Once that's finished, I like to pull them out and we're going to give them a look. So what we're looking for when we open these ribs up, we want to see the bones pulling out of the meat, or the meat pulling off of the bone like you see here. That's telling us that they're starting to get tender. And once I see that, this is when I like to add my barbecue sauce. Here we're using Sweet Baby Ray's. You can use whatever you like. Sweet Baby Ray's is a go-to for us around here. I'm going to put a nice liberal coating on there. Spread it out with your brush, get it nice and even. We want to get a nice good glaze all over this rack. you have the barbecue sauce applied, we're going to throw them back on the grill. You can add some more wood for some more smoke if you'd like. It might take a little bit more flavor, it might not, but we're more or less just trying to get that barbecue sauce to crispy up here. And if you didn't see, you can tell these are getting really tender already. They wanted to split in half on me as I was putting them back on the grill. So after about 15-20 minutes, you can check them periodically. These look done to me. These are where we like them. This is how I like them, so we're going to go ahead and pull them off. Make sure you get your tongs all the way under there because they're going to be tender. These ribs turned out great. They have a nice smoke ring to them. We're going to cut one off. We're going to give it a try here. The meat didn't even want to stay on the bone. They were so tender. It could just pull right off. Now, we're not doing competition ribs. Some people like a little bit of tug. Me, on the other hand, I like them to fall right off the bone. And these turned out great. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope I see you on the next one. Give us a like. Give us a subscribe. Got all kinds of good stuff coming up for you.